Here are you doing? If social unrest happens in the world, we have no precedent that we prevented ourselves from economic crisis beforehand perfectly, because it is always post-vention response to social unrest and economic crisis when we look back our history. For example, World Great Depression and 2008 financial crisis and coronavirus infection around the world this time. So I think capitalism is really vulnerable to tackle the problem of economic crisis when we confront really serious social unrest in the world. So I think the elements of socialism is really needed to be taken into capitalism personally, in the sense that we prepare for economic crisis, which we can't predict perfectly when it's coming. So whatever viewpoint we have about this fact, it is almost impossible for us to stop economic crisis in advance, even if we already predict when economic stagnation will come in the early future. And as you know, the amount of support from the government has a limitation, and it is also impossible to cover all the compensation of the damage by economic crisis for individual households in the country. So for the time when the society is too biased to capitalism, the government takes a role of adjusting valve to maintain equilibrium of social wealth by corrected taxes from people. But it still has limitation. So I know capitalism is a really fair system in the modern society, in the sense that it evaluates people's effort to come through their desire. However, even in the system, in order to get all the benefit of capitalism, people need to fulfill minimum required conditions of capitalism, which is like education and parents' financial situation and your qualification in the society. So people who can't fulfill the minimum required social conditions have no choice but to survive somehow for themselves at the bottom of a society, and they will be the first victim when social unrest happens in the world. So of course, people are really worried about the negative part of socialism, and people will really pay a lot attention to the negative part of socialism. But I think it is a really good idea to take socialism in our society partially, in the sense that we maintain the balance of social wealth without discrimination financially. So I think the basic income and other similar economic system that corresponds to basic income is really ideal to give people vitality and incentive to solve their problems by themselves positively, and also this becomes one of the evacuation policies for economic crisis.